Okay, and we are live. So this is onboarding session number 3, and today we're going to be covering appointments. So we'll talk about how to set those up, of course, and also advanced form features. So we're going to dig into what that means. We'll talk about form settings. We're going to talk about confirmations, redirects, and advanced email notifications as well. So before we begin anything, I just want to make sure that everyone who's here can hear me all right and see my screen. So if you are here, just feel free to write in the chat box and just let me know that you can hear me. Awesome, great. Thanks, Olivia. So just so you guys know, this is oh great, Sandra as well. Perfect. So yeah, just so you guys know, this is our new onboarding format. So we're doing it webinar style in groups. So you guys can still chime in and ask questions in the chat box. Um, and yeah, so basically what'll happen is after the session's done, probably within the hour, you'll get a link to view it. If not, you can always email me and I'll send you a link. So yeah, the idea here is that you can watch it anytime, and it's available for you any time of the day for your convenience. So on top of that, of course, if you ever want to do a live one-on-one session, we're always going to offer that. So that's never going away. That's part of our support here. So what you can do is on our support site, if you click on the cat in a session with one of our support agents here. All right, so let's get started. So as I mentioned, we're going to start with appointments first, okay? Now, on your site, you'll notice that you have a button here labeled Appointments. So this can be used for in a couple of different ways, but most commonly, and what we're going to cover today, is how to set up school tours. Okay, so and that goes for pretty much any type of rolling appointments. So what I mean by that is appointments that repeat every day on a specific day. Sorry, every week on a specific day. So if you're offering tours, every Monday at the same time, it would basically just repeat and you wouldn't have to worry about that. And of course, you can block off days like holidays. But so this is what here. And we've also got a drop down here, so I'm going to show you how to add different services there for something like conferences, which we're also going to cover today. And for conferences, as we both know, those are not rolling appointments because we just want to select specific dates that those are occurring on. So we have all those abilities, and we're going to take a deeper dive into that right now. So the first thing, since you're setting up these for the first time on your site, the very first thing that you want to do is you want to navigate to the settings page for appointments. So first we're going to go back into the dashboard here. Just going to open it in a new tab. Okay, so you guys are familiar with this dashboard view, and what we're looking for is appointments here. Okay, so there we go. And once we get there, we want to click on settings. And the best part about appointments really is that, you might have to set it up once, maybe twice a year for conferences, but after it kind of supports itself because, parents, teachers, whoever's booking them, all the automation is happening in the background. So, parents are getting reminded of their appointment, they're getting confirmation emails, and we can tweak all of that, in the initial setup, but, there isn't much to do to manage it actually. So, so here are some general settings. And first, it shows the time, right? So you don't have to, because there's all these settings here. I'm going to tell you what you need to be concerned with, and there's really only 3 or 4 items here. So the first one is this time base. Now, I recommend picking something like probably 10, because then it will let you add appointments in multiples of that. So you could still add a 60-minute tour or a 20-minute one. If you do 15, you can't add a 20-minute one. So I'm just going to select 10. The default is 30. If you want, you can actually add your own time base. Minutes, but basically, so you could now set up 30-minute conferences, 20-minute conferences, and an hour school tours, let's say. Okay, so that's the only thing that you need to worry about right there. And so I'm just going to save these changes. So there's just that one setting here. All right, and then what we want to do is just move over. So there's time accessibility is the next one. And you want to set auto confirm to yes. Basically, that just means that there's no additional step. Parents can just go in, and you guys don't have to actually do anything to say, okay, this appointment's approved. So they will automatically get an email as soon as they pick that time. It's actually going to be grayed out, so no one else can select that time. And also, of course, you want them to be able to cancel your own appointments, perhaps. I mean, maybe not, but that's what I recommend setting it as. Okay, and for the rest, that's really it on this page. You can save the changes. If you're not doing school tours, the only thing I would say on this page at the very bottom is you can set login required to yes. Any type of bookings for prospects where they don't need to have a login. So that's really important. Okay, so I'm seeing Matthew saying the screen is not very clear. So Matthew, there's actually a button that should take you right into YouTube where you can watch it live as well, and then you should have options to adjust the settings for the display. So you should be able to watch in HD actually. Find that button. Actually, let me just make that easier for you. I'll just paste it right here. That should work. Okay, so the next item here, we're going to talk about display. Actually, here you don't even need to change anything. You can leave that. Same thing with payments. Notifications is the last one that we need to concern ourselves with here. Okay, so send confirmation email. You want that set to yes. That way the parent is getting some type of feedback, letting them know that their appointment's been successfully booked, right? Okay, let's see, and what else? So then here, under confirmation email subject. Okay, so this is, the subject that goes out in the email as soon as they book it. And underneath here, you can just drag this down if you want to see more. So underneath here is where you can actually modify or edit the message that's going out to the parents. Okay, so they're getting, and anything in caps, all caps, is actually just going to, it's like a merge tag, so it's going to replace the form or any relevant information, like what they're booking with. So it will say, dear Zach here, or please to confirm your appointment for Hubbliville Academy. And then the service, which we're going to set up soon, it will say the name of it. So that'll say, parent-teacher conferences, Mr. Smith. Okay, so it'll say the teacher name, date and time, of course. So all that's here. Now, I wouldn't recommend editing anything or removing anything that has the all caps, because it's pretty important. However, feel free to add any other information. Just keep in mind this is a global message. It's the same one that's going to go out for school tours and parent-teacher conferences, for example, right? So you can't have two for those different services unless you were to build it into a form, which we can get into later. Okay, and then again, so same thing goes for the reminder email as well. All right, so that's set to, of course, you could turn that off if you don't have a good experience with it, but we've had pretty positive experiences, and parents really like that feature. So this says, 24 hours before the appointment, it's going to send them a reminder email. Okay. And then you can also set one yes or no if you want the provider, which would be the teacher in most cases, or the office admin. So pretty much whoever is responsible for this service is going to also get an email. So that can be turned on or off here. And they're going to get an email 4 hours before. And of course, you can always change this. So you can say 1 hour, 5 hours, whatever you want. And then underneath, again, it's really the same email that goes out, just reminding them of all the information. Um, Now for this, for send notification email, I would set that to yes. Okay, so Thomas, um, that's a good question. Let me get someone to actually add that back and look into it for you right now, actually. And we'll continue on with the webinar. And in a few minutes, you should see the appointments show up again. Sorry about that. Right. So, yeah, I recommend setting this to yes, because, of course, when a parent books an appointment, if they're going to cancel it, you definitely want to make sure that everyone's being notified. So that will send an email to the admin, to the teacher who is responsible, and I think it also wants back to the parent just to confirm that they haven't canceled the appointment. Okay, and they can actually cancel their appointments from the email that they get. So it'll say, click here to cancel. So just a link. Okay, moving right along. All right, hang tight, Thomas. It'll be up in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to save these changes. And of course, you can always use and edit them, but they're really meant to not be edited. They can just kind of you know take care of themselves. You don't really have to do too much there. Okay, so now I don't believe there's anything in advance we need to worry about. Yeah, okay, so we're done here. So really, just to recap what we went through here in the general settings, this is a one-time thing that you would set up, so you don't have to worry too much about this. But basically, we set up the time base, right? So that's going to be our intervals. You can set the durations to, and okay, and that was it here. We also set them to be auto-confirmed to yes, and also for clients to cancel their own appointments. And the login required is optional at the bottom, but it's there if you need it. Okay. And under notifications, we just recapped, what the messages are, so what the parent is seeing, and also how to notify those if you'd like to. Great. So let's assume that you've set that all up. Should only take a few minutes. Here's what you need to do next. We're actually going to click on services right here. Okay. So now these services aren't really too descriptive right here. I'd probably recommend adding a little more information to this. And by the way, just a little tip, if you ever want to remove a service, there's no delete button. But what you can actually do is just remove the text, and if you hit save, it will actually go away. So now there will only be 5. So I'm going to get rid of a bunch of these, and we'll just create new ones. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and that should show you exactly what your view would be when you don't have any services yet. Perfect. Okay, so there we are. And for this part, so you just hit add new, and we're at a name. So let's start off, we'll do school tours, and let's add another one. We'll call that parent-teacher conferences, and you can add in either the classroom or the teacher's name, right? So you can do teacher's name, just some indicator there, so that parents, when they're going to book it, they can actually easily identify what class they're booking it for. But I'll also show you a trick so that they don't even have to choose from a list, so that really you can just send them a direct link to their classroom booking services, and they'll just be able to go through on that. Okay. So we've got two services. The only thing we need to do other than the name is to add the duration, okay? So for school tours, I've seen everything from half hour, 20 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. So, probably on the safer side, you want to do it longer, just in case they do go over. You don't want to have any overlapping tours. So I'm going to set that to 60. For parent-teacher conferences, I will set that to half hour, just to keep things simple here. And again, so just what you want to do is have 3, 4, 5, how many classes you have. They should each have their own service, and label it just so that parents will know, and so that you'll know as well. Okay, let's go ahead and hit Save Changes. Perfect. So that is step 1, services. Service providers here. Perfect. So now what we want to do is basically link a user or a teacher, whatever you want to call it, to a service. Okay, so we definitely need 2 in there. So I've got 2 now. And we want to select a service. So let's, Naomi is doing school tours. Okay, and then we'll say that Jacqueline is doing Mrs. Parent-teacher conferences. So I'm going to hit save. That's really all you need to do on this page. Okay, so first step was services, second was service providers, and now we're going to go over to the working hours and set those up. Okay, so let's click on work. The only thing you have to remember is who is responsible for what. Now that'll be pretty obvious if it's, Mrs. Smith, and then you select Smith here. But for this one, I'm just going to remember Naomi is responsible for school tours. So let's go over to working hours. And if you haven't added a service provider, that would be why none of them show up here in the drop. Since we added 2 just now, those are the only that I can choose from. So let's start with school tours with Naomi. Now this is pretty similar actually. The only thing that you have to note is this question here where it says work ? So school tours or anything rolling, that has to be set to yes. But anything that you don't want to repeat, like a recurring event, you'll say no. And then what you'll do after, and I'll show you in a minute, basically just set up the different exceptional days, we call them, but basically just the availability dates. Okay, so if you have conferences going for 1 week of the year, you pick that week, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's say, at Hubbli Academy here, we're offering tours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So let me turn off Tuesday and Thursday. So we've got yes, yes, yes for Wednesday, Friday, and need to set up the hours. So those are 8 to right now, I can always change. So let's say Monday, I'm just going to do tours in the morning. And Wednesday I'll do a full day. And Friday, let's say we're just doing the afternoon, so 1 to 5. And so what it does, so we already set up the right of 60 minutes. So what it does is it will just break these times up by that duration, right? So 1 to 5 gonna make 4 available slots, right? Each one will be 6 minutes long. Of course, if you want, we also have break hours. So if you don't want to just do back-to-back, you can always add breaks by just selecting yes here. And once you hit save, you can actually let you add multiple breaks. That's there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. All right, so we saved that. And to be honest, school tours are now set up to do for that. For parent-teacher conferences, there's one additional step. But before we get there, let's just go back front end and just confirm that we've set everything up correctly for school tours. Okay, so we're going to go to appointments. And we can see school tour here, right? Now, drop down is showing, sorry, you guys can't actually see that. There's a drop down here. So I'm just switching back and forth. But yeah, it will appear as a drop down. It's just not showing in the recording here. But parents will be able to see that. So then school tours, and of course, here are the dates we set up. So, you know, Monday's passed, so that day's off, of course. The days that are available are now showing, right? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We said Monday 8 to noon, which means 11, 12 is actually the last slot. Wednesday we did a full day, right? So there's 9 total spots. And then there's 4 spots on Friday. Okay, again, those are going to repeat every single day, every week, sorry, on that specific day, on those days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week is going to repeat. And so in order for, it's really easy actually, parents, by the way, I can explain, but the green is, you know, available slots and the white means busy. So there's a legend down here, but from a parent's perspective, you know, so let's say I'm a parent, I'm going in here, book a tour, I'm on the 30th, so I click on that. As I click on that, it brings me down. Okay. And that's all I need to do. Basically, just fill my name, email. The email's where they get the confirmation email, of course. And then you can just click here to confirm the appointment. That's it. So they're going to get all the email, all the details in a nice email that just goes to them automatically as soon as they click and confirm, assuming it's still available. Okay, great. Now let me show you guys how and what the main difference is when setting up any type of appointments that need to be booked on just specific dates, right? Because as you know, if I go to the next month, you're going to see that it's full with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? That's all the available times. Of course, that's not realistic for, you know, parent-teacher conferences, or I'm sure that would drive all your teachers. So let's go ahead and go back to where we were. I like working in multiple tabs here. And we're going to switch this. So we're going to switch it to Jacqueline now. So that is a parent-teacher conference for one class. And what we're going to do is we're going to set everything to no. Okay, so a little counterintuitive, but hopefully that will help you guys remember this important step. but we're going to set everything to no because that just means, oh, do I want this to recur? And we'll worry about break later. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and then we're going to just adjust the average. So even though, just point out something important here. So even though we're setting all these to no, these times are still very much in effect, okay? I'll show you what I mean. So let's say parent-teacher conferences. Let's say I'm offering Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, okay? So you don't have to worry about the other days. We just need to set the times that we're offering them. So let's say noon to 4 p.m., Tuesday full day, and Wednesday maybe we'll do in the evening for after school conferences, okay? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those are the times that I like. So I'm gonna hit save. Okay, and once that's saved, we can actually set up the dates, okay? We just have to make sure that they're on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, right? Otherwise, it will take these times for availabilities on the other days. So let's go ahead, and we're going to do exceptions right now. Okay, so you just have to make sure that you're still on this same user, which we are, and then all you have to do is click anywhere in this kind of row, and you'll see a date picker that shows up here. So it doesn't get much easier. You know, let's say we're offering them the 10th, 11th, and 12th of October. So we're setting it up in advance and just planning for it. So we can close that up and we can hit save changes. Before I do that, I just want to mention also you can use the exceptions to off days. For example, if you offer school tours every Monday, but there's a few holidays on Mondays, you can go in here for Naomi, the other user, and you can actually just pick up, all the holidays or any non-working days, okay? But for Jacqueline, these are all set up, so I'm gonna hit save changes, right? Assuming that I have conferences, going on these 3 days, they should now be available for booking on the front end. Of course, we need to confirm that just to be on the safer side. So here's the moment of truth. Go into appointments. We're going to select parent-teacher conferences. Should say Mrs. Jacqueline, but that's okay. And we're going to go to the next month because this is September. And there they are. Beautiful. So we have 10th, 11th, and 12th as booked. Of course, you could add in, the 24th. You can add in any days on that calendar where you're selecting the dates. And we just, can confirm. Perfect. 12 to 4, 9 to 4, and 4 to 7. And of course, you can book them the exact same way here, just by clicking on a time. And there you go. So you'll see all the information is here. Perfect. Okay. So if anyone has any questions about appointments or setup, feel free to chime in with that there. And before we move on to advanced form features, there's just one little trick that I want to show you guys to avoid or attempt to avoid an issue where parents might, for the wrong class, let's say. So they might book an appointment for the wrong class if they select, and that's pretty rare case, but you never know. So in order to make the parents' lives easier, I would recommend sending them a direct link so they don't actually have to use this drop down. So I'll show you what I mean. At, at the top here, there's a URL. And basically, if you copy and paste that, you can send it out to specific groups, right? So we can send this out to Miss Smith's group, and they'll all get the link, and it will just take them to this page right here. It'll actually take them to October if you want, right? So you don't even have to, they don't have to skip different months and go through them to see. You can take them right to this page. So as an example, I would just copy. All right, of course, you want to make sure you're on the right view first, okay? And then you would just copy the link at the top. We could even go over to groups. Let's just say this was, Mrs. Smith's class. So I could just go in and I could paste this link right here. Perfect. Okay, so you might want to, just send that out as a group post because they're all going to get an email letting them know that they need to book conferences and start signing up. So I'm going to hit post update. And so there it goes. And they can just, click here and get to the link. So that's a little trick there to advanced form features. Okay, so we're going to cover, we're going to start actually just by creating a new form together. So that'll be just kind of a recap, but we're also going to use that form as our example here. So I'm going to go to the dashboard first. Okay, great. You guys are already pros at this. We're going to go form and click new form. By the way, if you guys, I know this is brand new, so if you ever wanted to, we're doing it every week, but if you want to see any of the ones, the recordings from this week for session 1 and 2, just shoot me an email and I'll send off the link to you guys. Okay, so let's give this title. Okay, Advanced Form Features 101. And so that'll take us to the form editor. And I'm just going to go ahead and quickly create this. And then we'll dive into the different types of options. Actually, I'll take a better example than that. Let's do something related to schools. So select your classroom. And so this would be like a parent filling out this form. So let's create that first. Okay, we've got name, email. All right, and we'll keep it pretty simple. Okay, great. So we're almost done. And just edit this. We'll say parent name. Okay, and let's just make some classrooms here. I know you guys use much more creative names than I do. I don't own a school. Training purposes, this will be. Okay, let's close that up. Now with this one, I'm actually going to make this field, I'm going to call this status. And we're just going to keep it simple here. I'm going to make two choices. One is going to be approved, and we can say rejected or denied, whatever you want to call it. And so the thing about this field now is we're actually going to make it, and I'll show you why in a bit, but we're going to make this an admin only field. So that's under advanced, and then visibility by default is everyone, but we're going to say admin only, which means anyone filling this out, if they're not a site admin, they won't be able to see this field. So it's just for the admin to approve something, which can then trigger an email notification automatically. So think about this: you're reviewing an application, and it finally comes time to accept someone or approve them. You would go in form and edit it, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you would just hit on the status approved, and after that, the system, the automation in place that we're going to set up right now takes care of itself, and it starts firing off emails, and they can be all personalized. It can use all the information with merge tags, and I'm going to show you all of that very soon here, and it's really easy to do. So let's hit update form. Let's say I'm happy with that. We'll just keep it simple today. Okay, great. And so let's get back to that in a minute. Now, what we're going to talk about briefly is form settings. So if you hover over form settings here, these are the three things we're going to be covering right now. So settings, confirmations, and notifications. So let's click on form settings first. Okay, great. Now there's not too much to show you guys here. If you ever wanted to change the title of your form, you could do so. Description, I would just leave blank. You can always add one in later into the form. And then you have also your handy links here. So if you ever need to send out a link to the form and you're in the dashboard already, I mean, there's multiple ways to do that, but you can just copy and paste this and send it in the group. Additionally, you have your entry page here, information that was submitted. So other than that, only other thing I wanted to show you guys is this important button right here. And you don't actually need to concern yourself with this generally. It's only in the case where you want this form to be made public, okay? So it's only in that specific case, right? So let's say, you have an inquiry form for prospects. That would be considered a public form. Okay, and by default, all forms are private in Hubbli, so you actually don't have to worry about this at all unless you are creating this public form. So in that case, you would actually just uncheck require user to be logged in. Of course, this before people start filling out the form, which is also best practice. And then, so you would uncheck that, and you'll notice all of those settings disappeared, right? In regards to who has access, okay? And so yeah, I'm gonna just turn that back on, but I just wanted to show you guys that. Of course, for a login form, you can always modify who has access to what. But by default, parents will not have access to other parents' information. Only you guys as the admins will be able to access everything. Okay, so not much to see there. So let's get into the fun stuff. So there's confirmations, and then we're going to talk about notifications. So as far as confirmations go, I'm sure you guys have noticed this. When you fill out a form, and I'm just going to go ahead and click edit here. When you fill out a form, there's a message that appears on the screen. So not to be confused with a notification, which are emails, but this is really just a message like feedback that's actually displaying on the screen as soon as you hit submit, assuming you filled out all the information correctly. So this is the message, right? I'm sure you've seen it before. It's just our default message that appears on all forms, okay? As soon as you hit, and again, it's not an email that goes out, okay? So the only thing to show you guys here is that you can modify this, okay? So I just wanted to let you know, you can totally change this message, you can remove it, you can say whatever you want, and you can also add, like media and format it however you want. But the key is that this is, you can edit this on a form by form basis, okay? So it's not like a glue, like when we were at appointments. Um, this is more so if you have a specific form that, requires information when they hit submit. You don't want to put any information in there that's vital, I would say, because it's just a quick page, right, that they're probably going to leave. So, some generic thank you message is probably best. Anything that is pertinent, you would want to include in a notification. That way they have it in their email, right? So they can always go in and access it. Okay, great. And there is one other little trick here, and that's the page redirect. So instead of a message showing up when they hit submit, you can say, take me to another page on my Hubbli site, or even an outside web page if you'd like to. You can do a redirect to any web page, like if you want them to go to Facebook after filling out like a photo upload form, for example. So, but yeah, those are the options. They're not as common, but the text is what I really wanted to show you guys so that you can modify it anytime per form. Okay, so we're gonna finish off with notifications. And I'm going to just kind of recap, the different ways that this can be used, okay? So in its most basic sense, which is already set up by default, we've got an admin notification here. And what that is, it's set up to go to the admin email site, which is, we can change that for you if you'd like, whatever you use to sign up to create your website initially when you purchase. So yeah, so that is set up by default. And the reason it's there is to notify you guys every time a form has been submitted. Now, of course, you can see how that might get, out of hand. So you can always turn that off just by toggling this little green button right there. So when it's gray, it's off. Green means on. Now, let's take it one step further. So this is going to notify the same person every single time. Like I said, we can change that, but it's still going to one person. What if you want this to go to either multiple people or a different person? Let's say, someone is in charge of field trips and you have a field trip form, it should only go to that one person. So assuming you don't want it to go to this admin, we can just edit this and change who it's going to. If you still wanted this admin, then you can actually add a new notification at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this one. Okay, so the name is actually just for you guys. So that's not going to be seen by anyone else. It's really just for you guys to know which notification you're editing. 'Cause sometimes, schools will have 3 or 4 different types of notifications for different scenarios. So the only thing you would need to update is the send to email. So instead of the admin email, you would just remove that. And you can actually just type in a you could type in an email for like any one of your teachers, right? So, I'll get real creative with this one, teachersemail@gmail.com. So, whatever email that you want this notification to go to, you just enter in an email that's, right, it just replaces the admin email for this form. So again, we're just working with this form, and you can always tell by looking at the top here. Okay, and you can always switch forms too if you want to just jump around. So now you may be what's going to them. So actually, let's just take a step back here, and you want to include the name. I mean, this is more important if it's going to parents, but even if it's going to a teacher, it's still nice to get a proper email there with a nice name. And you can add that in a BCC if you want it to go to two people there. Okay, so this is now where the subject and messages, that's what they're going to receive. Okay, so I know this says all fields. That's actually a merge tag that is there by default. And that just means that, the same way you guys get all the information when someone submits a form, the teacher that you're sending this to would get that same email, right? But maybe you don't want them to get all the information from the form. Maybe you want them to get some, or maybe you want them just to get an email that says, action required. So you can just delete this, assuming you don't, hi there, or hi teacher name. Please remember to, so this could just be like a reminder email in this case, you can use this in so many different ways. So, I'm just brainstorming here, but feel free to get creative. Okay, so it could be like, hi there, please remember to call, and then you can actually use a merge. Okay, so that would be using the information submitted from the form. So we just created this form, and it's going to show all the fields here that we created. So it would go, please remember to call parent first, parent last. So we'll say their name. Okay, we can close that up. Child is in classroom and colon, and then we can just do the classroom, right? Select your classroom. So that will just dynamically show them, what they selected on a case-by-case basis. Okay, so this is kind of a combination of just my own text with also using merge tags. So I'm going to go ahead and update that. Great, so that's done. So every time this form is submitted now, teacher, whoever's email you put in there, is going to receive an email, merge tag, so that it's displaying the different parents' names as they come in. Okay, so let's go ahead and create one more notification. So I'm going to go back here, and we're going to add a new one. So we've replaced the admin notification, and we should probably rename that. We could say teacher notification. And let's hit add new right here. Okay, here let's call this approved. Okay, so now what we're creating now is basically a notification that doesn't go to anyone in your school, so it wouldn't be internal, it's going to be external, going back to whoever filled out the form, in most cases the parents, okay? And the goal here is to actually write a personalized email, or, the impression that it's a personalized email, when really you guys aren't doing anything except setting it up, okay? And then moving forward, going to handle itself, and every time submitted, a parent will get a nice email, from the school with your logo and everything, and it will be personalized. So it'll say, hi Zach, thank you for submitting, child name, your application for child name. We're really excited to have you, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now you may be wondering, well, how does it go back to their email? So that's a good question. So what you do is you would select a field, and that's why I added the email field in there, because it's going to go back to their own email address. So it says select email field, we just need to select email. Okay, and again, you want the from name, which would be your school name, or it could be like a director's name. And we can say congrats. And we can actually put a merge here instead of you. You could, actually put their name if you wanted to. Okay. And under here, again, it's the same idea. Same idea here, right? So we would say hi. You can get informal if you want, just first name. Whoops, added the prefix. So it'd be like, hi, Zach. Keep this simple for training purposes. And you can always add in a link. So all the information that is filled out in the form, all the fields are going to show up here, and that will just populate the email with whatever data that you want, okay? So there's just a couple things to cover here. So what I want to show you guys is, you might be thinking, well, what this email is automatically triggered. Right now, it's not set up that way, but look how easy it is. So under conditional logic, we're going to enable that. And we're going to say send this if the email, not email, we want status. So send this if the status is approved. Okay, so it's that simple. And you want to check off send on updating, okay? So because this won't be filled off originally when the form is submitted because the parents can't see it. So when you guys go in and quote unquote update this this entry, that's when it will send this off. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save. And there we go. So now that's used in one way, right, where you guys are the ones triggering that status. Okay, but there's also another way where basically the parents would be the ones triggering it. And so let me show you the difference there. There's actually no real difference, just that we've hidden this status field, okay? So, under, let's say, select your classroom, you could say it's only going to send this notification that we just created if they've selected class 101. So then what you can do in essence is create 3 different notifications, one for each class, okay? And then the conditional logic would match. And then they would each be getting their own personalized email depending on their selection. So it works both ways. It can send it based on, the admin selection by updating a status to approved, or by a parent selection from the form. So you don't actually need to have that hidden field that you guys are updating. That was just kind of something advanced that I wanted to show you because we've seen it, and it's pretty common that schools want to have the ability to update statuses. So I would definitely recommend hiding that, if it's going to be there, because you don't want parents to approve themselves, of course. Okay, so that's really the idea here, is that you want to create, as many notifications as you guys need for emails to go out. So, maybe just think about all the different types of emails that you send out on a daily or monthly basis, and see, how many of those are the similar or the same types that you could actually, maybe save some time, save a lot of time actually, by automating these using the forms and by using notifications. So we're just about at the end of today's session. Guys, feel free to chime in or ask any questions if you have any final thoughts. If not, I'm just going to finish off by showing you guys our help docs, especially in regards to appointments, because everything we covered, of course, you'll get a link to rewatch this session. But at the same time, if you go on your own pace, and not listen to me anymore, what you can do is go to support.hubbli.com. Under support docs, easiest thing to do, you can either click appointments right here, or you can just type. I love using the search bar here, so school tour, it's the very top one, couldn't get easier. And this has got in-depth, step-by-step, so it's a guide, and there it is. So it has everything you need there. We also have parent teacher conferences. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that, just in case you need anything. And of course, you can always reach out to us and submit a support ticket to help@hubbli.com. And if you think you need a live session, that's not a problem at all. We still are offering those one-on-one sessions through our support site on the booking calendar here. So you just click on support calendar right there, okay? And so basically, and it's going to round robin through our support team, and someone would give you a call at that time. Okay, so you guys have been a pleasure today, and we're going to finish off that session, today's session, on that note. So again, guys, feel free to reach or any general feedback. We always love to hear from our customers. All right, so if nothing else, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for our next webinar. Take care, guys. Have a good one.